You're listening to Cyber 94 Podcast. If you want to break into cybersecurity with real-life experience, go to cyber94.com.
Tonight, we're delving into a true cybersecurity horror story. A name that still sends a shiver down the spine of any early Bitcoin investor. Mt. Gox.
It's the original crypto nightmare. For anyone who wasn't around in those early days,
Yeah.
it is hard to overstate how massive Mt. Gox was. I mean, by early 2014, it was the center of the Bitcoin universe, handling over 70% of all transactions worldwide. It was an absolute giant.
A giant with a bizarrely humble beginning. Most people have no idea the name Mt. Gox actually stands for Magic the Gathering Online Exchange.
You're kidding me. It started as a trading site for a fantasy card game?
Exactly. A programmer named Jed McCaleb built it in 2006.
Okay.
He lost interest, and then in 2010, after reading about Bitcoin, he just repurposed the old domain. He essentially launched the world's most critical piece of Bitcoin infrastructure on a spare website he had lying around.
Wow, that detail alone is a huge red flag in hindsight.
Right?
It's like finding out the world's gold reserves are being stored in a garden shed. The foundation was shaky from day one, and yeah, the problems started almost immediately.
They really did. So in 2011, the founder sold the site to a French developer in Japan, Marc Karpelès.
Okay.
Just months later, the first major security breach hit. A hacker got access to an auditor's account and flash crashed the market,
Wow.
manipulating the price of a Bitcoin on the exchange all the way down to a single cent.
An absolutely chaotic event. It created mass panic, and it was a huge warning sign of the vulnerabilities in the system.
Right.
But that wasn't even the real disaster. That was just the opening act for the nightmare that was unfolding in secret.
Exactly. The real horror story was a slow, methodical bleed. Mt. Gox security researchers later concluded that starting way back in late 2011, hackers began siphoning bitcoins directly from Mt. Gox's online hot wallet. It wasn't one big, dramatic heist.
Oh, man.
It was a death by 1,000 cuts happening silently for years.
And no one noticed? How do you not notice hundreds of thousands of bitcoins worth hundreds of millions of dollars just walking out the door? It points to a level of operational incompetence that is just mind-boggling. They were the biggest exchange on the planet, but their security and accounting were a complete house of cards.
Which brings us to the final, catastrophic meltdown in February 2014.
Right.
The slow bleed had finally become a mortal wound. Users started reporting that they couldn't withdraw their money or their bitcoins. The delays stretched from days to weeks. The panic began to set in.
Mt. Gox's official excuse was a technical bug in the Bitcoin protocol itself, something called transaction malleability. They tried to blame the technology, not their own failures.
Right.
But it was a smokescreen. Other exchanges were handling the same issue just fine. The brutal reality was the vault was empty.
And then, on February 24th, the floor fell out. Trading was suspended. Hours later, the website just went blank. Imagine it. You have your life savings on that platform, and you refresh the page to see nothing but an error. Everything is just gone.
It was pure chaos. An internal document was leaked confirming everyone's worst fears.
Yeah.
The company was insolvent. It had lost 750,000 of its customers' bitcoins and another 100,000 of its own. A total of 850,000 bitcoins, worth nearly $500 million at the time, had vanished.
And to put that in perspective, that was roughly 7% of all bitcoins in existence.
Wow.
The company filed for bankruptcy, and its CEO, Marc Karpelès, blamed hackers. But the story that emerged was one of catastrophic failure on every level. He was eventually arrested by Japanese police, not for the theft, but for falsifying data, apparently to hide that the ship was sinking.
The legal fallout has been going on for a decade.
A decade?
And in a twist that sounds just as careless as losing them, they found 200,000 bitcoins in an old forgotten wallet, and those are being used to slowly repay creditors. But the whole affair was a brutal, painful lesson for the entire crypto world.
It's where the phrase, "not your keys, not your coins," became a mantra.
Mm-hmm.
Mt. Gox proved that if you entrust your assets to a third party, you are accepting the risk that they could disappear in an instant. It forced the industry to mature,
Right.
leading to better security, hardware wallets, and the rise of decentralized finance. It was a trial by fire, and tens of thousands of people got burned.
Now, here's a question we'd like you to think about. The Mt. Gox collapse was a story of technical failure and theft, but also of misplaced trust. In an increasingly digital world where we entrust our money, data, and identities to third-party platforms, how do we balance convenience with security? And who should ultimately be held responsible when that trust is broken?